Welcome to Queens of the Damned, a horror podcast. Today we have the honor of being joined by Nick and Aaron from the Ghost Crier paranormal group here in the Quad Cities. We're going to be asking them a few questions about their latest ghost hunt and about ghost hunting in general. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Probably the most generic question. How did you guys get into ghost hunting? And did you begin as skeptics?
Well, yes, I was a skeptic, first and foremost. Started back in 1999. Just want to know the answer, the real answer is life after death. It seemed possible, plausible, so I decided that I needed to do the research myself because my peers really weren't giving me the best answers. It was a lot of yes, because I'm like, oh, really? I'm not sure if that is a smart way to explain things. So I had to go out and actually kind of dig and get dirty.
Mine started in like 1994. I grew up in a haunted house in Clinton, Iowa on 5th Avenue South, if you know where that's at. It used to be a nursing home, and we got what would you say, possession of the property, or moved into the property, and so it was my mom, her boyfriend, my sister, me, and his son, and 65 rooms of excitement to play in a former nursing home that had been closed for like 3 years. So you get to see a lot of weird stuff, hear stuff at night, and since then it's just been an ongoing fascination with the paranormal.
Yeah, how can you avoid it after that? I mean, what do? Just walk away from that and not be curious about it?
Yeah, it's something when the elevator that is in the building takes off by itself at night and just goes floor to floor. Then, like, you're leaving to go deliver newspapers at like 5 a.m. in the morning, and a wheelchair turns and faces you.
Oh,
it kind of makes the hairs on your arms stand up.
And I just want to add, I didn't have anything exciting to get into the paranormal like that. I was just a blind guy walking around going, it might be, it might not be, I don't know. I was about as skeptical as you could be, as neutral as you can be.
No, you got a very detailed story. Lay it on them.
Back in 1685, my family was original. I don't know. I'm going with that story. My story for the most part is that my peers that I questioned, coaches and stuff like that, and they just didn't have good enough answers for me, so I dug in the dirt myself. After the fact, though, Nick, after I started looking, I did run into some exciting things.
This story is the good one.
Oh, the apparition?
The one on Hackensack or Mackinac Island.
Hippie Island?
Hobo Island.
It's a great place, guys. There's an island located in Michigan. It's a beautiful place. It's called Mackinac Island. I'm sure some of your viewers may or may not have heard of it. I recommend going to it. Check it out. But I was there working when I was 20 and 21 years old. And I was, of course, an investigator at that point still. And we went to do kind of a drop-by location at a cemetery, an 1840s cemetery. It was it looked like your stereotypical, straight from the movies, like creaky turnstile gate to get into this creepy looking cemetery. It had all the facets of a horror movie. It was great.
Faucets.
You can drink when you're in there too.
Oh, no.
So it's in case you get perched. It's on an island. So yeah, we were in there. We had two other people with us, or me. I had a minister, a lady who was going to go into ministry. So she didn't really believe in this whole ghost spirit thing. It wasn't in her mindset to believe in it. And then I went with another guy who was a psychic feeler. And the whole psychic thing I have issues with anyways, because it's like a whole nother explanation of something. So I'm just focusing on ghosts, at least at that point. Even for the most part still now. I'm more open though. Well, I saw a shadow. I saw, our other partner in crime with him by an old cemetery. And then I realized that she's actually by me. So I started walking towards him. I'm looking around. Mind you, investigator mindset. This wasn't like I was chilling in my own house and, saw something or da-da-da-da-da. I literally had, 35 millimeter camera, disposable, worked wonders. as well as like a notepad, about basic as you could be. But I was out there for the experience for the most part. Didn't expect anything. And about 10 feet from my buddy, I noticed that there's a dude standing in front of him, beard, top, like a fisherman hat, old garb, details, man. And I froze. I wasn't like badass like the TV shows sometimes show. I was like, stop. Hand went out, 'cause I stopped her. She witnessed it. I witnessed it. He said, Aaron, I'm seeing him fill up a guy's leg. So the whole psychic feeler thing, I'm like, I kind of maybe believe that now. And he goes, Aaron, he's right in front of me. I go, dude, he's right in front of you. At that time, it looked up at me like a flipbook animation and vanished to the left side. Same time, my buddy and me said he's gone. Lady ran out of the cemetery screaming. Psychology calls that mass hallucination. It's most rarest form, from what I understood, at least then, to get. Mind you, I haven't had an episode prior or after, and we were all pretty sane. So I'm going to say that we had a pretty good experience. And I did research after the fact, and the research indicated that a father and son, who were the first to be buried at the cemetery, are the ones supposedly the ones who haunt it. So I went back in the daytime, looked around the area just to see if there's anything else that explained this. And I hit the cemetery that we saw the apparition, the full frontal apparition, that said, here lies father and son. Again, details I didn't know right away. I learned it, came back, and it just, everything went together. It was like the perfect storm for an investigator to find out that proof, because it's not like, I did the mental checks, so it's not like I just jumped to conclusions, but it was right there for a long time. I witnessed the spirit. So,
That's crazy.
Wow.
and that was a couple years in of actually active investigation.
So is it fair to say that you guys aren't skeptics anymore if you were to begin with, or?
Oh, God, no, definitely not. Well, okay, I take that back. We're probably the biggest skeptics because we know it's legit. We know it's real. So our point is to not give crap, evidence or to jump the gun on every light glare you see in a photo.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at a picture
Every
of this orb.
Dust particle that comes our way. It's not that important to... I mean, we wouldn't mind convincing a large pool of people if it makes them have a little bit more peace. But at the same time, again, we know what we've experienced. We know there's eternal life after. I'm an atheist, mind you. So I take it very ones and zeros. I've had emails sent to me saying I should get out of this because I'm an atheist. It's no place for me. And I'm like, what? That's the perfect stance.
I've had the Davenport Diocese tell me to get out of this.
So, yeah, we believe.
Do you guys do like talks in the area, or if you're doing a hunt, like what type of events do you do where people can reach you and like experience these things along with you?
The events we do in the area are public events. We've only really done the one speaking event at the Davenport Public Library.
Well, we've done the conventions.
The Psychic and Paranormal Convention. It's really more like psychic and people that talk to angels. I actually asked a buddy of mine if he'd bring in a makeshift one of those blades from Supernatural that they use to kill angels. I go, you need to bring it in and go to one of the people that talk to angels and be like, hey, does this really work? But so they have people that talk to angels, faith healers. They'll be doing Reiki.
Yeah.
Reiki.
Don't ask me how I know that. I have no idea.
Yeah. The last convention that we were at, I actually did that, and it was awesome. I got this weird like ASMR thing. I almost fell asleep.
Oh.
So there's people that do that. There's people selling crystals. Then way in the back corner, you'll see Ghost Crier in our little booth with our disheveled hair, trying to tell people about ghost hunting.
What do you guys do? We hunt ghosts. Any luck on that? Well,
we're standing back there like Shaggy and Scooby, like, hey, welcome to the Paranormal Expo.
Whoa, Scoop, check this out.
Yeah.
It's Old Man Winters.
Oh my God.
So, can you guys kind of describe the process of ghost hunting? The equipment you guys use, the questions you ask?
Yeah, we change it up. We're not your well, I don't even know what your typical team is. Honestly, I say we're not your typical team. We could be the exact same lemming. But as far as we know, we get results each and every time. We kind of change up our how we conduct our process about a year and a half ago, and since we've changed that up, we've had a really 100% rate on any place, even my basement. Even if we were to go to your place right behind you, I'm telling you, if you want a haunted house, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, it looks like you have an old house. Am I correct? That door looks kind of old.
Her house is very old and very creepy.
My house was built in
Knew it.
1890. There's a whole story behind it.
All
I don't know
right,
if it's
see?
haunted or not, but yeah.
Oh,
I'm
it is.
sure.
It's just
It is.
level of activity.
It is. After Halloween, it definitely is.
Hey, you know, we can help you out if you...
We don't need help. I mean, they're friendly ghosts. It's just some
Most of
old
the time they are.
pharmacist and his wife and maybe
we can
daughter.
put you in a video on YouTube then if you don't need help.
Yeah, most of the hauntings aren't like the horror movies, the ghost horror movies that you see in the, you know. So
And the TV shows.
Yeah.
I've been scratched.
yeah,
Something
Oh,
touched me.
it's like, really, did something touch you? A lot of the case, it's just kind of confused entities roaming around still. Some of them know that they are. Some don't even care because they've been so long invisible to the normal person, fleshy person, that they don't even care what we do. It's funny though. It's funny when they finally figure out that they can hear themselves when we're talking to them.
Yeah, we've gotten quite a few responses on the SB7, which is, the SB7 is a small handheld radio that scans through all the frequencies of the FM band at 100 milliseconds per station. So it's
The spirit box.
the spirit
Yeah,
box.
yep.
Thanks
Quote,
for
unquote.
playing along.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
So we've gotten quite a few responses of how can they hear us? Oh, they can hear us. All sorts of direct responses. That's not going to be playing on the radio at that time, you know. And if it is, good catch on us.
Yeah.
But
We get our names a lot, validated, which is pretty cool. I know I've asked to hold, if they can hold my hand. Usually the response, I think, is no, unfortunately.
no, you know.
Yeah, but occasionally I got that one that said, should I hold his hand? That was kind of cool.
Oh.
I was like, oh, yes, that's a win right there.
This is stupid to add, but he just moved into this house, and we did an investigation before they were actually moved all the way in, right?
Yeah.
And we were in the basement, and we asked the question, what's your favorite kind of pizza? And we got sausage.
Delicious.
Then I asked if the spirits that we were talking to had sex in this house.
We got one that says she's a virgin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that sucks.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Are there certain types of equipment that you find to be like totally bullshit, like they don't work at all? They're just totally superstitious nonsense.
The equipment that we use, we've tried and we've kind of put it through all of its kinks and like workhorses in a sense. I don't know. We use the tools quite often. So what we use, I'm pretty confident. Even the EMF detectors, and I came across a video recently. This lady just ranting how EMFs don't work and it's stupid. Investigators still are doing da 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 da. But she had no clue how the device worked. I was like, man, that's the problem you get with a lot of investigators. A lot of assumptions, or they're bringing up their own perception of how something should work and why it should work. At the core of it's science, ones and zeros. So you gotta learn the tools that you use. And I think a lot of folks don't understand why they're getting a ghost on a K2, or even what milligauss is. And it's, I'm not gonna say it's frustrating because, we do our own thing. We keep busy. We want a good spot for evidence, I think, for people, a good place that people that like this in the community that go to and get legit stuff. So, do you know anything, Nick? Equipment well, hold on. Before I pass it, there's this one piece of equipment. It's called the Ghost Arc. Oh, I fell for it. What, like 300 or 250? I don't know. It was expensive.
It's a
jeez.
paperweight.
It's a paperweight.
It's over here somewhere.
Well, it was reading EMF. It was reading that radiation read off of itself when I was using it, and
That's bullshit.
And I was confused because the behavior of it was awkward, and I'm looking at it, and it was like, "Did you catch something?" I'm like, "I don't think I got anything. I'm gonna say no, but I don't know what's happening."
Thanks a lot, Italy.
Yeah. Well, they made it in China, unfortunately.
Thanks a lot, China.
It was supposed to be like your all-in-one tool. So it had everything. It had the spirit box. It had Ghost Trap, which is like an audio loop. It had, you can get digital recording. Too bad the digital recorder only works for like 5 seconds at a time. At least on the model that I had. It was cheap. The buttons threw, fell off. I don't like that piece of machinery, but...
The reason I asked that particular question is because I just bought some dowsing rods out of curiosity because I was on this ghost tour. And, like, I'm not sure I'm totally on board with them, but I wondered if you could, talk... Have you had any experience with those, or...
I actually just got a set myself, and they are... Well, here's a pin. As far as I know, you're supposed to hold them like that, webbed in between your fingers, and you have to keep your arms completely straight and brace your thumbs on the back. And
it's the magnetic pull, right?
Yeah, I have way too many iced coffees and Pepsis during the day to be able to hold them straight and steady for 5 minutes at a time. But they are something that we are working with. We have friends in the community that can kick our asses when it comes to dowsing rods, but we haven't mastered it yet.
The part of my brain that is super rational is like, this is bullshit, but then I use them, and the woman who led the ghost tour in Galena had me use them in front of the group, and the answers I was getting I was not expecting, and they were really personal, and because I was skeptical, I was making sure I was holding them really straight and everything. But I think, like, whether it's your, like, micro muscle movements or whether it's something else, it's still really extraordinary, whatever is going on there. It's really interesting.
Right, exactly. There's so much, there's, like, atmosphere, like you said, your micro muscles, and half the time I think it's just my hand is dropping and I don't know it, or I don't realize it, or... you got to hold your wrists up, and you got to hold your elbows up, and you got to hold your shoulders up, and something could start twitching in that small amount of time. But
there's a lot of mental checks you have to do when doing this sort of thing, because it's not all running in there, kicking down garbage cans and catching ghosts, right? I mean, it's a lot of psychology, it's a lot of proper tool usage and just conduction of letting the area know that you're speaking with them and not just talking to each other. So there's a lot of different, I think, procedural things that we do specifically that gets us results. And there's one instrument, it's a communication device, that I was skeptical. I know you were skeptical of it as well. It's a digital application. It's only like $13. You buy it from like the App Store. So right away I'm thinking toy game, right? This one guy online that was using it a lot, and he got a lot of hits, a lot of views. Real popular, but at the same time, a huge percentage of the community hated him. Just this strange, uncontrollable rage towards him. And that's what fascinated me about their reaction to him, to one guy. Why are they so passionate? What connection do they have to him to make them have that reaction? Because if that's fake, then why is it bothering them so much? Why can't they just move on? Even if it's convincing that 100,000 people, that's 100,000 people. I mean, at the same time, and if it's fake, whatever, we'll get real devices, better ones. I wanted to try it out, I thought it was fake as well. It was strange, just the responses he was getting. So I started using it frequently, and we've gotten some incredibly wonderful responses. And then I started questioning the behavior, like what's it made out of? How am I getting this? What kind of pareidolia is kicking in my brain where I'm assuming these sounds or words? And what's going on here? Because it was kind of freaking me out, because the answers were pretty, like, right there in front of us as we asked the questions, clear. So I actually reached out to the creator of the device, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? So give me the scoop. Why is this happening? And that's kind of our method. We want to know the ins and outs of a lot of our, out of our equipment. And I know we don't like using stuff that we don't know about. And the same thing with this. And the nice thing I found about this device that I actually still use, it uses phonemes. So just part words like the p, k, t, like sounds. It just spits out the sounds and just keeps that rotating on different frequencies. It's its own sound bank So it's not off a radio or anything. So it's controlled in a sense with that aspect. And it produces. I mean, it produces words. A lot of them go in reverse that we find out.
Tell them about the big one at the temple.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is pretty cool. So I was doing a review at the temple, the Masonic Temple. It was back in January when we were there the first time. And and this is when I'm still learning the device. And I'm still kind of putting it all together. Like, why am I getting these strange words? Clear as day, we got a phrase once we reversed something that said, I sucked a nipple. Sucked a nipple. Sounds kind of vulgar. And I'm like, I chuckled a little bit. I'm like, why would that be, in any algorithm?
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, that's odd. I chuckled, and I actually put it in the edit just because it was kind of funny at first, but I had no clue. Well, I started researching it, more. And be careful, by the way, when you type in sucked a nipple on the internet. Other things come up than what you intended originally. So what I found out is it was a classy way for a lady to commit suicide in the 1920s. So this building was built in 1922, and now she's passed away, and here she is at the church confessing her sins. We get that often at churches. These entities, confess, and in this case, she's confessing she committed suicide by gas in hell. So yeah, kind of dark, but interesting.
So, what are your guys' thoughts on the Ouija board?
Totally real. A lot of people, they get excited about the Ouija board. Oh, you're opening a portal to hell. Satan's going to grab you by your butt hairs and drag you down, this and that.
That's how he does it, actually. So
yeah, he just comes up and he just pinches them. He just pinches them and holds them, and he waits for you to move and pull them. But the Ouija board is exactly the same concept that we do when we turn our digital recorders on. You're establishing that line of communication, although there's not something moving that planchette or whatever they call it.
It's Oculus, actually, or the oval.
No, the
palette or
yeah.
I can't
It's
think.
whatever
planchette.
that thing is in the middle.
Thing.
There's not, an unseen force moving our digital recorder in our hand, but it's the same concept. You're establishing communication with the unknown. So really, all the experienced hunters out there that are saying Ouija boards are bad, but when I turn this digital recorder on, everything's fine. Ouija board is made by Parker Brothers. If you play with a Ouija board, right on. I'll even sit down and join you. I mean, a few years ago, I used to be the same way. Don't do it. They're going to grab your butt hairs. But
he's seen that happen to friends before.
I've done it to friends before.
Oh, gosh.
But by all means, Ouija board is awesome. I'd love to experiment more with them. That's something that I don't know. Like, I've heard that if you take, like, silver coins and put them on the edge of the Ouija board, it, like, boosts the power of the board. And
Interesting.
The cool thing is the devices that we use, like the spirit boxes and even the more advanced spirit boxes that we've been getting into, or just different kinds, they're like the Ouija board times 100. You have to look at the conductor and the intent. So who's the one, producing the calling or opening up that session, and what's their intent? If they have poor intentions, then they're probably going to get something a little more negative. If they're just like us, I mean, we always get positive. We had a couple houses that wanted to kill us, but
yeah. Also, shout out to our friend Paranormal Captivity on YouTube. She actually made a Ouija board out of a hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars, and it worked.
Yes.
And I heard that the Ouija board, the spirit doesn't actually move doesn't move like the whatever that stupid thing is called.
Planchette.
The planchette, yeah. It doesn't move the planchette. The spirit actually takes over a little bit of your body, and then it controls your hand and moves it. Supposedly that's a theory going through. I kind of want to do like something like the Ouija board, Nick, but I want to make like a chess board and have like a chess game with a spirit. That's what I want to do. I've been wanting to do that for a while.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and have maybe like a 24-hour cam just on it.
Yeah.
I think we're onto something, guys.
Just live feed.
Yeah. Live feed that bad boy.
Speaking of live feeds, did you know there's a live feed inside of someone's coffin if you go to seemerot.com?
Oh, that's so gross.
No, it looks like it's a still image, but you can actually see it refresh every 45 seconds, and you're just like, oh, God.
So wait, okay, I mean, this is a whole other rabbit hole. So, like, was this person embalmed? Was it a natural burial? What?
Yeah, I believe they're embalmed because
that's going to take a while.
I've been checking up on it like the last time I looked at it was maybe 2 years ago. I'll probably look again tonight.
Like super rotting.
But, I mean, it's the same. Don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but they're buried in like a denim button-up, like Canadian tuxedo-style shirt. It's worth a look. Everybody rush out after the podcast is over.
Back in like the 2000, I got stuck on like, it was a haunted library webcam, right? They had it up there, and then if you found the ghost, you can snap a picture and send it to him or something. I don't know. I was obsessed with it for a moment.
So, what was the scariest thing you guys have had happen on one of your hunts?
I ran into a deer. They get pissed off fast.
Oh, yeah, that's not good this time of year, especially. On the other end of the spectrum, I mean, if you guys don't technically get scared during hunts, did you have, like, an emotional or, like, a memorable moment?
I'd say probably my most memorable moment was we were investigating a place in northern Iowa, sorta, called Edinburgh Manor. It's in Scotch Grove, Iowa. It's like if you canoe the Mackinac River out of Monticello, you drive right past it. There was always theories that when people died at the poor farm that was there, they just buried them outside, you know, in unmarked graves, real close. That way they didn't have to drag the body too far. So we were outside and standing in a dark field at night and just trying to ask questions and using the spirit box and going for a regular EVP. And all of a sudden, just looking out over the horizon, I saw it looked like somebody was walking up to me. And I turned around to the other guy that was with us, and I said, "Here comes somebody. You see that?" And he goes, "I'm looking right at it." And when I turned back around, I watched it rush across the field at like lightning speed and got right up in my face, and I ran backwards. I didn't turn around and run away. I ran backwards away from this thing. It scared the hell right out of me.
Oh my God.
You know, I had a moment, I guess, back in 2004 that I went back to the Mackinac Island one and took a skeptic friend of mine up to the cemetery that I had that first experience with. And my problem was, at that time, I was starting to, because there is a field or an energy field, kind of a sense that you can hone and understand, and it feels like fear, it feels uncomfortable, but you can recognize it with practice and training. And I felt like I was getting pretty good at that. I'm starting to recognize this. I'm kind of, I'm still taking a more science approach to it, but I'm also, if I walk into a room, I can really feel everything around, which was kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. But I did walk too close to the sun, I think, because in this particular moment, I was just laughing, just kind of having a good time with my buddy as we approached the cemetery. And I remember touching the fence. At that exact moment, I just threw my body on the ground, crying, screaming, and I just kept throwing, like, my buddy, and we had another friend there too, and I just shoved them as I was scooting myself, I was butt down, scooting myself with my feet back, and it maybe 5 seconds, this intense fear. I don't know why, but after that, I have not ever really felt anything beyond that. So now I have to completely go with the tools, because I can walk in the most...
That was the last little bit of your childhood escaping.
It was. Now I'm just like...
And now Aaron is like, I'm not scared.
Yeah. It's like, I got the most demon infested. I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's been 12 years.
He's there with a coffee and a cigarette. I'll take care of it.
I got a big old stogie or something.
Yeah.
Just look like Logan.
Yeah.
That was definitely a moment among others, but yeah.
Well, do you guys have a favorite hunt?
That's a great question.
We've peppered the entire Quad Cities, like with day hunts. I mean, we was next to John Deere's grave. That was kind of cool because you get to look out over the little part of Moline that you can see from that cemetery right there and see Bettendorf and Davenport. That was a cool sight, but that's probably...
The dentist's office was strangely more exciting when I started doing the evidence reveal. We did it's a rental unit right now, but it used to be an old dental office. And Nick had a buddy that something nasty happened. They called the police. Police can't find anything. Police left. Things were still happening. They jetted out. They gave him the keys. We went there to check things out. There's this moment where our EMF detectors just blew up, like literally lit up. And it's something you don't see on the shows ever. And naturally, we couldn't describe it. But at the time, I'm trying to debunk it and trying to get it. And I literally, one of the first things I do is I capture a free-floating ball of energy. The cool thing with the EMF detectors, electromagnetic fields, it's radiation. So by design, it emits. So there should be a wave of that field from man-made devices. So with it free-floating, it's definitely not in the behavior or the design. So that is the phenomenon. Whether that's a spirit or not, that's to be said. But it was interesting that I caught that. And you don't see me go underneath it because we were in the basement, so there wasn't any like cords or anything underneath it. But you see me go over it to the side, and I'm just like, Nick, this is free floating. Yeah, that was a neat experience.
So you didn't really see anything up at Riverside Cemetery when you were by John Deere's grave? It was kind of just
That one was actually really cool because we was driving through the cemetery with the SB7 spirit box ported into my truck through an aux cord. So we had the
largest communication device.
World's largest paranormal investigative piece of equipment.
Boom.
The SB7 or SB 5700, I think we called it. So we're driving through the cemetery, and when you first pull in from what's the mausoleum down at the bottom of the hill and the baseball diamonds, you come up to the top of the hill. And the road kind of forks off to the right or it goes off to the left, and you can go up the hill to John Deere's grave. And we were sitting at the fork in the road, and I'm like, which way should we go? And a voice came across that said, go up there. So that was pretty exciting. But other than that, there was a voice that came through that said, hey, big boy. I'm 6'6", so I think they were talking to me, and it was a lady's voice, so... we got to go back, and I'll do my best quagmire for her. Hey, all right, how you doing?
I was just wondering because of the Black Angel legend, there was that Black Angel that was on Charles Deere's grave that had to be removed because of vandalism, and now people say that they still see it when it's not there anymore. So I wondered if that was part of your hunt, And
a lot of those urban legend type things,
they're so fun.
And they're fun, but I mean that's all they are. They stem from one facet or one moment of lore that's in another country or another state, and it just kind of runs wild. And it goes back to pareidolia. Not only can you familiar things that you hear, but things that you see, taste, smell, touch. And people are looking for that. They probably go there. They see a shadow from a tree from the moon and say, "Oh, there's the angel of death again." So,
Something like that is interesting. It'd be worth checking out. Dwyer and Michaels, they do that haunted crap they put up on their website. They have that one for that warlock's grave that's in between here and Galena somewhere.
What?
Yeah. There was an actual grave site that was like, where you stand right now, darling, I don't stand anymore. It was carved into the tombstone, and they said it like a long poem was on there. And you could put a candle on top of it and light it at like midnight on the full moon and the 2nd of October or whatever, and the flame would turn green and stuff. Something like that would be, fun to go check out. But according to the Dwyer and Michaels website, you have to drive down dirt paths to get to it. And
there's a cemetery someone told me about at one of the conventions. It came up to our booth and said, "Hey, there's this witches cemetery. It's like in northern Iowa somewhere." And they go, if you step on like their gravestone or their plot, you die. I'm like, are you trying to kill us?
Really?
What's
That's just it right there. It's like turning off a light in a closet. Just you're done.
Yeah.
Did you tell them that they're gonna die eventually anyway? So that's pretty much. I mean,
if that's the way we go, we'll have it documented.
I don't know.
If you drive without a seatbelt on, you die too.
Miranda and I went to see the Black Angel in Iowa City this summer, and neither of us believe in it, and neither of us would touch it either. So it's a really interesting social phenomenon.
Skeptics sometimes are the most scared individuals, you find out. But that's okay. It's probably safest.
Jack Osborne actually filmed his little TV show Haunted Highway there at that cemetery in Iowa City. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Sharon!
Yeah. No, the Sun.
I know. That's all.
In that same episode, you guys went to Muscatine, didn't you? Because I actually listened to your show. Wow!
Fanboy.
Oh,
over
we
here.
did. We
Nerding
went
out
to
right
see
now.
the Blue Angel in the Muscatine Mausoleum, and it was storming, something fierce, but only when we got into the cemetery. And so neither of us had umbrellas, so we were like kind of like walking through there, and you couldn't see through the glass because of all the condensation. We kind of scared ourselves and just left.
Is that...
Well, as we actually got around in front of it to look at it, we were both kind of like trying to look at it, and just in that moment, there was like a crack of thunder, and we were both like,
Never mind.
Fuck this. We left. Like, this is where
that
it
the
ends.
same cemetery that the steps change?
Because of the storm that day, we didn't get to see the steps, but that was the same cemetery. It's rather large, actually.
That's the cemetery I ran to the Deere, actually,
Really?
years ago. That was
Oh
that
my
one.
God.
Yes. It was like, oh dear.
Play a car crash audio clip right there.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell us a little bit about the hunt you guys just did at the Scottish Rites Cathedral. Was anything particularly interesting
Nick
there?
had better luck than me.
Yeah, we were upstairs, and I haven't had a chance to go through the audio to confirm this. I'm just going off of what we've heard so far live that night. We were upstairs in the ceremony room, the big room that they have their meetings in.
Called the Blue Room, I believe.
The Blue Room,
Blue
and
Room.
they refer to, there's 4 sets of chairs in the north side of the room, the west side of the room, east side of the room, and south side of the room, and nobody ever sits in the north chair. Like, no matter how high you get in masonry, nobody can sit in that chair, but there's still a chair there, and that has been puzzling me all week. But we're in that room, and there's probably 15 of us in there, and we had a Mason join us from Galena, Illinois, and he's standing by the north chair just to make sure that none of the people that were in that room sit in that chair, because that's how important it is. And I had the SB7 going, and I said, James is from out of town. He's a Mason from out of town. Can you tell me where he's from? And I turned the SB7 back on, and a couple seconds goes by, and it says he's from Galena, and everybody in the room heard it. People like walked out of the room, and it was just, it was an awesome response to have in front of that many people, and I think that was the whole night did a 180, and everybody was totally into it by then. I mean, they were like, let's go to another room. You got to turn that thing back on. You know.
And the guy, of course, was from Galena, and masonry. The gentlemen who are part of these fraternities, they go in there for like positive outlooks, and they have a lot of secrets with them, but they're all just to make their lifestyle or goodwill and stuff like that towards their community and what they do outside. So it's a lot of positivity with them, but you do have to be outstanding citizen as well in your community, as well as a male, and believe in a higher power, a higher being. So with that said, for this Mason to hear a ghostly response
About his town.
I don't think he's going to stop everything right away, but it's probably going to get his head thinking a little differently.
Yeah.
And fun fact, he was there to make sure that we were going to be respectful to the building.
It's true.
Yeah.
We were.
So they
Right.
take their stuff very seriously, and there was one room, well, 3 rooms they wouldn't even let us look at. Don't look at the door. Don't walk by the door. There's the lady said there's paraphernalia in there, and I was thinking like, oh, that's where they keep their bongs, man. They're gonna hear this and come find us.
Great.
Cut that part out.
Just lost that contact. They're huge fans too, by the way.
Well, did anything out of the ordinary happen that night?
One of the devices upstairs seemed to react intelligently to some responses. It was a shadow detector.
No, it was just an infrared light.
An infrared light.
Yep. A security light, you could say, that runs on batteries that we take with us. It's portable.
And that tend to have some intelligent responses, but other than that, there's almost a baby crying, someone said, but I don't even...
Yeah, it did sound like a baby was crying at one point in time, but he was downstairs fiddling with stuff, so it could have been him crying over.
I was just like, I'm out of batteries.
I can't find my batteries, and he was stomping his foot.
There's a vent thing.
So is there like a dream place if you could go do a hunt in one place in the world that you each have?
You know, the funny thing is we are, like I said, very consistent on any location that we go to find evidence. Honestly, and it's going to sound super cheesy, but the first house I ever did a house investigation with, it was back in 2001, I think, and it was in Rock Island. It was a small house in Rock Island built in, I believe, 1926, and it was far more advanced than my green self going in there for my first house. I didn't expect what was happening. I didn't have the right procedures down. I was all book smart. I would like to change that behavior and really do that house justice, because I feel like there is a lost little girl that's in there, very active. It's a poltergeist, which means it's a German term. It basically means noisy ghost. Not like the movies, just a term indicating the spirit can physically interact with you. I would really, really like to go back, and I know that could probably be made a reality, but it would be hard.
Right.
They've had like 5 or 6 new owners since '01 in that house. I don't know if that's, whatever, I'm sure it's not paranormal, but what if it is? I mean, how do we approach someone's home and say, hey, this is what I do, I did this house a long time ago. Are you cool with me? Oh yeah, you weren't aware that you're in one of the most haunted houses that I've ever been into? Okay. Sorry. Sleep well. Good night.
That's kind of a touchy subject, I would imagine.
Yeah. So I've been sitting on it for a while. I tried to catch it when it was in between talking to the realtor, but they just sold it, and they didn't want to, A, bring it up to the new buyers, and B, let me in the house that's now sold and not mine. So just missed it.
So maybe next time it's on the market, you can get it really quickly.
Maybe that's a way to look at it.
Swoop in.
We'll be like, hi, we're just 2 gentlemen looking for a place.
Can we sleep here overnight?
Car crash clip. I aim low as well, just like Aaron. I actually have 2, and they're local. The old Scott County Jail, you know where that's at? It sits right next to the train tracks. I'd like to get in there and play around sometime. That'd be pretty neat, because there's nothing in there. They built the new jail and just moved out, and it just sits there looking sexy. But
there's no way that place is not haunted.
Oh, yeah, I just want to make sure.
I mean, jails, hotels,
Yeah.
they're all...
A lot of places that gather people are important.
Yeah. And secondly, just down the street is Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Quad Cities. Fun fact, that was the original police station for Davenport, Iowa.
Ooh.
So that'd be neat to get in there and poke around and see what we could find. They'd probably make us become brothers or something.
So what stopped you from getting into those places? Can you not figure out who you need to talk to, or is there some sort of limitation on getting in there, or...
I think the government of the city government's probably got a pretty tight grip on the jail.
Right.
And
I haven't reached out, though. I mean,
we haven't reached out to either place, really. And I think Big Brothers Big Sisters it'd probably be something that we're 50-50 chance. We just got to open up and establish communication with them and see what they say.
And for anyone wanting to start a paranormal team, don't make phone calls or cold calls to places for investigations. Go face to face on them, because it's easier for them to keep a conversation if you're right in their face.
Yeah.
Calling and being, hey, I hunt ghosts. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't do that. Well, you don't hunt ghosts? That's cool, I do. Yeah. Doesn't look very good.
It also helps if you have yourself an Aaron G. Thompson.
Stop it.
Who is an
Is he a
amazing
great
public...
PR person?
He is all of our PR person. He is an excellent public speaker. He used to be part of a group, you might have heard of him, called the Blacklist.
Stop it.
So he is great.
I look on their faces, they've huge fans.
he is great with improv and just getting people talking. I mean, I think if I didn't have an Aaron, we probably wouldn't be sitting where we're at with the subs on YouTube and the events that we're part of and all the things that we are involved in.
You know, you got a good point there. And it's funny that you mentioned that because, like, the Ghost Crier team itself all has different people with different skill sets. And it was purposely made for that because you don't want a bunch of people all the same and so forth.
Yeah, you got 28 people chasing a shadow down the hall.
Yeah, there's...
Get back here, you son of a bitch!
There's like 3 or 4 of us that go inside each time. But yeah, we're getting someone on board with us that's incredibly good at setting up events and that sort of thing. And we have a historian, psychic, which we're kind of learning, that whole song and dance, but we're using our tools with her ability to kind of justify it a little bit more. We have a historian who actually teaches history, so it's his passion. I mean, we have a vegan chef that helps us out at our events.
So anybody listening that hasn't gave time or energy into vegan cuisine, I highly recommend it, and I am a large fatasse. And it is really good.
Yeah, that's pretty good, guys. And I'm a meat eater. Urgh.
Well, is there any place that you guys wouldn't do a ghost hunt in?
Well, there's the Annie Wittenmeyer location right out there. We want to go in those empty buildings. I think that'd be super cool, but they do use a facility still for care of adolescents, so, of children still. So, I mean, it would be cool to be there, but we would have to go through a lot of permissions. Yeah. If we don't choose to go to a place, I think mostly it's for safety. If the place is really...
Yeah. If you watch our Halloween videos, safety really doesn't imply a whole lot. I mean...
You could fall through the floor at any point. I don't know. I guess... Is there any place that we wouldn't go?
South side of Chicago, maybe.
Yeah, no, you're right. A Resurrection Cemetery. Mind you, it's absolutely... Well, it's loosely on my list. I know we're not going to go there because the more dangerous moment is the area. It is in a bad part of Chicago, and in the late 90s, mid-late 90s, there was a lot of hunters that went there because of this huge phenomena that happened that brought them there, but then they got mugged. At gunpoint.
Oh, worth it.
Yeah, so I don't want to lose my equipment.
So your concerns aren't really the malignant entities or whatever. It's practical concerns, like respect for children that are being cared for or not getting mugged, which I think is definitely a lot more reasonable.
Yeah, I've been up against like dark stuff, like you said, malignant entities. So that's a hard word for my hillbilly ass to say, but I've actually taken stuff to the Davenport Diocese and had them listen to the audio that I would, here, listen to this. I think it's a demon, and they put their headphones on, listen, and takes the headphones off and goes, "Where did you record that at?" And like goes from, "Hey, how you doing?" to immediately like boots to asses time. We need to go kick some ass, and he blessed me with holy water, and it felt like I was sunburned just on my right side. It was weird. So none of that is really an issue anymore. I mean, people call up, "Hey, I got a demon." Well, we'll check it out. I mean,
yeah, for 2018, I almost want to put out the challenge for someone just to give us like the most wrecked location, like the most dreadful, where everyone goes in there, there's so many da-da-da. I want that challenge because I want to go in there and be like, you guys are overthinking it. There's just little Timmy in the corner who's just racking up noises. But
yeah, because we definitely approach it with a different, feeling compared to like you see on TV where they're like, "Get out here, you son of a bitch!"
Do that to
the
me.
The last fucking thing you want to do if there's actually something that wants to harm you there. Like, provoke it. Yeah. How stupid are you?
Right.
Customer care goes so much further than the opposite.
Our theory, what would you call it? Our format of how we investigate is basically how we're talking to you guys right now. We treat you, treat it like we're sitting in the same room with somebody, and if there's nothing there, then we're just two idiots in a room babbling. But if we get a hold of something, we do get compelling responses, and that's what we're looking for.
And you bring up a good point because a lot of the question it bothers me loosely, but it's like, man, why can't people realize it's a terrible question? Don't ask, "Is there anybody in here with me?" Why would you ask that question? Let's be assumptive. You're in here. How you doing? You know, don't ask these questions that give the entity an out. I mean, they'll probably take it, so they're not going to get anything. But if you point out the fact that, hey, look, we know you're here. I would like you to speak with us. It's up to you. Let's take it this way. And we, like I said, we get 100% hits. I mean,
Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/Ghost Crier videos.
this is true.
Huh?
What advice would you guys give to someone looking to get into ghost hunting?
Turn off the TV and pick up a book.
No shit.
Yeah, totally.
That's just general advice.
Advice to anyone in the
start
world
off-
about
and don't look
anything.
at Wikipedia. Go to the library. Start off looking up Thomas Edison, Tesla.
There's a book on ghost hunting that I first read when
By Joshua Warren.
Joshua P. Warren.
Yes, you read that book?
Yeah.
Yeah, great book. It's how to ghost hunt. I think it's about as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that years ago. Did I let you borrow mine? No, you brought. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I borrowed yours.
Did you?
But
Oh, okay.
there's plenty of literature on the way that different people do things. I mean, I just picked up a book last couple months ago called Reaching Beyond the Veil. Yeah, I got about 2 pages in. April Slaughter's going to kick my ass, but Beyond the Veil, and it's all about spirit communication with electronic ITC devices. So there's tons of investigators on YouTube. I mean, people can copy our style. I mean, I'm sure we've copied somebody else's style nonchalant, but it works for us. I mean, you just got to figure out what works for you. I'd say, you know, don't go out with only the...
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
I'd say don't go out like Ghost Adventures does, only using the viewfinder on the side of their camera, walking through a dark hallway. Actually take a flashlight. Yeah, we know you're tough. Big deal. Turn the flashlight on. You don't want to fall in a hole.
You know, you can hunt in the daytime too. There's some advice. The energy doesn't sleep. You can find a really active moment in the day. A lot of my bigger moments have been periods of daytime.
When we're at Fairmount Cemetery in the middle of the day, getting awesome responses out there.
Right? But just pick up books and be careful of your perception of what you feel the field should be. Really, if you can challenge yourself, go in neutral. Just understand that this is a possibility. Go with the tools, learn a little bit of the techniques, and
Not everything's haunted.
yeah, not everything's haunted. And by the way, I don't steal techniques, Nick. Oh my God. I've been doing this before the reality TV was
Before
reality.
techniques existed.
Exactly. Maybe Edison's techniques.
Yeah, I think
He's
in like
cool.
99, right, when you guys started, there wasn't anything like that on TV, was there?
Yeah, no, TV started back in 03.
Miranda wasn't even alive yet, was she?
I was born in 97. Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, 97. You were still puking on yourself. Right on.
I was technically 4, so
Oh, right on. You too? Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, I think 03 the TV shows came out. Unsolved Mysteries was around. But
I was in 8th grade giving myself a bowl cut with a bowl.
I was still in high school. I was like junior. I did research my junior and senior year, and I did my first on-site investigation after I graduated when I was an adult, because if I got caught by police, I wanted to at least explain them, what I was doing as an adult. Yeah, I don't know if that would have happened good or bad, but my first team was all over 21 years old, and I made sure to give them a pamphlet or a folder of what their job is. Because this wasn't a tour, I wanted to figure out what's going on here. I had a lot of pick-me-up groups, 2000s, and a lot of times there were people that were just electricians or plumbers or good with a specific tool of some sort. So yeah, I try to use their assets. I didn't do a lot of solo ghost hunting. I always had people with me.
Well, those are all the questions we have for you guys. Did you want to plug a website, YouTube, anything before we sign off?
Heck yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey everyone, check Ghost Crier out at ghostcrier.com. We're a place we're a full functioning unit. Also, we have videos constantly progressing the science in the field of at YouTube.com/Ghost Crier videos. We cry ghosts.
Twitter at Ghost Crier, Patreon at Ghost Crier, Instagram at Ghost Crier, Facebook at Ghost Crier,
We're professionals.
Snapchat at Ghost Crier.
No, we're Snapchat. We're individual, I think.
Oh, we're individual on Snapchat?
Well, and with that, I think we're going to conclude our episode for the night. So thank you so much for joining us, Nick and Aaron and Nick.
Yeah, we'll see you on the next ghost hunt, right?
Yeah, the problem is that, like, I sleep.
What? I get up at 5 every day, and I go to bed at midnight.
I don't know how you would do it.
Looks, I got 2 jobs. I got the Ghost Crier thing that's like 40 plus hours, and then I got my normal 9 to 5.
The Masonic Temple one was over by 12:30.
It was. We were expecting to be
Really?
until
That's a
at
bummer.
least 1. But I had a conference that day, so I had driven an hour and a half and then done the conference and then come back an hour and a half, and then I was like, nope, I'm done. So
Right on, that's understandable.
But yeah, the next one, perhaps. All right, thank you so much again, guys.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
guys. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.